if we could fall in love with something that doesn't change by the other person, then it would all marriages work. So what doesn't change? First of all, we know that he's going to get bald and she's going to get pregnant. That's for sure. We know that hormones change a person. Mind, circumstances, everything changes. Everything is variable, right? So what do you mean nothing can change? So if you watch kids that watch a puppet show, kids love puppet shows. Why? Because they say, I'm small, but it's smaller. It's like walking, talking. They think it's alive. If we thought the puppet was alive, we'd be mesmerized too. But we're sophisticated adults. We know there's a hand inside the puppet. So it's not really, we appreciate a good talented puppeteer, but it's not like I'm turned on by it. But the child is like, totally absorbed because they think it's alive. So imagine with people, there was a hand inside of our body, so to speak, which we call the soul. We call it the soul. Now the soul doesn't change. If you're able to fall in love with soul, then the relationship would always work. Okay? So how do you start seeing souls? Now you're in a Hasidic community, and there's something going on by Hasidim that people don't get. People it's like something's going on, I don't know what it is, but they're like mystical, like creatures walking around, and that kind of like they walk around like they're kind of oblivious to what's going on in the world. They seem to make a living and raise a family, but they're kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of like out of it a little bit. Okay? As usual, so you just find out. They're walking down the street, but you see that it's not a normal person walking down the street preoccupied with earthly things. They're preoccupied with soul. So the first thing to become sensitive to soul is we need to take the distractions away from soul. So the first 20 years of a person's life over here, we take out television. Because television's job, particularly commercials, is to attach your emotions to inanimate objects so that you go buy them. Okay? Meaning McDonald's is not putting on that commercial for your well-being. They would like you to run over to McDonald's, and by the time you get there, because the commercial was so good, you are salivating like Pavlov's dog. Can't wait to get that double cheeseburger. Now, in America now, they've had to outlaw the Happy Meal at McDonald's with a little creature inside. Also in Denmark. With a little creature inside. Why?
Really?
Yes. They may pass laws in certain cities in America. Why? Because the parent was unable to hold the child back from pulling them into McDonald's. Now, McDonald's made a major blunder because they should do it good enough that the kid looks like they're rationally asking to go. But they did such a good job that now the child is like possessed to get there. Because here's what they do. They spend millions of dollars on that 1-minute commercial, only to get one person to decide to go to McDonald's. They're not trying to get millions of people. They're only trying to get one person. Who is that one person? The one person watching the commercial. So they get millions of individuals to watch a 1-minute commercial. So it's the 1-minute multi-million-dollar media to each individual. One person, I think with $1 million, we can get one person to go to McDonald's. Then play it 1 million times. That's the genius of mass media. We only have to get one person, the one person watching the commercial. And they do focus groups with it. So they know who they're going to get. So you lose. You will always lose. Trust me, because McDonald's ain't going out of business. Thank God we don't get hungry 5 times a day. Only 3 times a day. Because they have to get millions of people herding to McDonald's every day. Home Depot. Okay? IKEA. Whatever it is. Just name it. Okay? So mass media, so we take out TV, newspapers, magazines, everything. Doesn't belong here. The next thing we do is we take out any co-ed existence. Boys and girls sitting in the same classroom who want to get attached to each other's bodies rather than their souls. You don't have to be a space scientist to know that. Okay? Scholastically, when the boys and girls are separated in different school systems, the girls' grades particularly go sky high. Why? Because no girl wants to be seen outdoing the guys. They want to look like, oh, Mrs. Passive Patty over there.
Unless you're in your school. Mm-hmm.
So what happens
Show
is,
those boys out.
if they are able to express their desires, then what's accomplished is needing more of their desires fulfilled. That's what fulfilling a person's desires accomplishes. So now you get two people that have expressed all their desires. Now they get married, and each person says, I need. Well, the other person says, what do you mean you need? I need. We both need. Needs are endless. It's a recipe for disaster because we're so needy. Here's the ideal. You're not able to express your desires. What'll happen? You'll become master of your desires. I wasn't able to imagine such a unique, bizarre theory, not to express your desires. And now you become master of your desires. And then when you get married, you can actually give to the other person. Instead of out of need, you actually give. Well, get two people that are completely whole, giving to each other. That is a sublime relationship. Okay. The next thing we do is we take out any parental pressure of what are you going to do for a living. Now, most of that is subconscious. The father comes home, man, I hope that kid's working hard. You know what I mean? I'm barely making it myself. Where the kid's only 7 years old, but it's gone deep inside. Because he's always talking about that. No money here, money, I can't do this. Yeah, we don't have money. Go make some money, right? So he's like overcooked on making money, right? They think about it all day. What are you going to be? What are you going to be? You can ask any kid, what are you going to do? What are you going to be? Everybody knows what they're going to do. I'm thinking about, what am I going to do? I'm gonna, right? Doesn't get you, that survival instinct does not get you any closer to soul. Okay? It gets you down to the animal level. Okay? Maybe the animal soul gets something out of it, but not a higher soul. So we just took out all media. We just took out all co-ed existence. You know, the wedding hall here has a separate entrance for men and women. Because if you're passing through men and women through the same entrance, that is too close. Too close. No good. No good. Completely two different halls. There's a wall in between. Go about 6 feet high. People dancing by them. Men with the men, women with the women. You say, my God, that sounds like the craziest thing on planet Earth. Men dance with the men, women dance with the women. But what happens is, you can dance for the joy of the occasion in a state of freedom when you're not with the opposite gender. Most people never experience that, but it becomes a very high spiritual awareness when you're not with the same gender. Okay? I mean, when you're not with the opposite gender. So what happens like this? Take out co-ed, take out what are you going to do for a living? What's left? That's about 99.99% of life. I mean, there's not much left. So here's the amazing part. If you buy an iPod, everybody know what an iPod is? You're not Amish, right? They don't have any iPods over there. If you buy an iPod, you go upstairs and you look around and you say, wow, I can't believe how many people have iPods. You buy a certain piece of clothing, certain colored dress, you look around, everybody has a similar dress. You know what I'm saying? An engineer comes in this library, a structural engineer, they say to themselves, I wonder how big the I-beam is across here. They came for a Hasidic tour, but because they're an engineer, they got to figure that out. Interior designer says, I wonder how big, these chairs, they clash with the floor, they must have been donated. Okay? They do clash, they were donated. Right? Why? Because an interior designer is going to see the design of the place. You go upstairs and I say, what do you notice? There's millions of things to notice. You're not going to notice everything. You're going to notice certain things. What are you going to notice? You're going to notice that which you're thinking about, which you're preoccupied about. In fact, the first Hasidic rabbi 250 years ago, he says, if you want to know how physical you are or how spiritual you are, think about what you think about when you meet somebody. How do you sum them up? It's a very kind of a subconscious thing. You kind of think like, they have a lot of money, look at the clothing they're wearing, the cars they drive, age, attractiveness, you know what I mean? But all those things, right? Intelligent, not intelligent, emotional, you kind of sum everybody up, right? So it's not about them at all. It's totally from you. Because you don't notice everything about everybody, right? So if you meet somebody and they say, God, everybody's angry. if you work in the post office near them, don't go to work the next day. Because it's not about them. If you meet somebody who says everybody's angry, what does that tell you about them? They see anger in everybody. That's a dangerous person, by the way. Okay? Yes, no problem. Go. So it happens like this. By definition, if we put soul information in, and you completely preoccupy with soul, you start seeing souls. Sounds right? Okay, so here's what we do. In this community, we study from 7:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night. I'm just going to say that again because it's a little easier said than done. 7:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night, 7 days a week. Till the person is 20 years old. How's that sound? I didn't say 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. How many hours is that? 9:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. would be 12 hours. It would be 12 hours. 9:30 to 9:30 is 12 hours. From 7:30 to 9:30 is 2 hours. So that's 12 plus 2 is? 12 plus 2 is?
14.
Excellent. So we have a 14-hour day. That's school curriculum.
Boys and girls?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Girls get a little break.
I'm not supposed to take
Okay. So what happens like this? If you do that for 20 years and you study all about soul. Now let me tell you. Let's say you meet a doctor, surgeon, hand surgeon. He's done like, I don't know, 20,000 hand surgeries. Okay? So he goes up to meet his best friend. He shakes his best friend's hand, right? And he's so, wow, enamored by the friend. But he's going to be thinking, golly, you know that little muscle twitch that my friend just had? You know, I bet that's like that little muscle over there. Why? Because the guy just is, he's a hand surgeon. The guy just knows hand surgery, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to meet people, but you're going to see soul rather than body. Because you're studying all about soul. And trust me, the people here know soul more than people know the physical elements of how this planet works. There's so much to study about soul. 20 years maybe to touch the surface about soul. So two people get married, they go out to look to get married, and they come back from the match, from the date, okay? And they come back and they say, oh, I cannot believe it. I just met the most beautiful soul. How beautiful, right? 98% soul, 2% physical. Instead of 98% physical, 2% soul. Well, which one's going to work? Any suggestions on the statistical analysis over there? Which relationship's going to work? That's it. Divorce in the world is 50%. Divorce over here is 1%. Because again, they see soul. Yeah, they truly do see soul. Here's an amazing Jewish law. Jewish law says that you have to meet the person before you marry them. Well, you know, does God really need to tell us you need to meet the person before you marry them? I mean, do we need God for that, right? I mean, who would marry somebody without meeting them? Doesn't that sound pretty bizarre, right? I mean, the implication is, don't marry unless you meet them. Meaning, maybe you would, right? So here's the fear. God says like this. After studying all about soul, you may think you are soul-cellular, that I don't even need to meet the person. So God tells you, no, you do have a percentage of physicality left. You're still a soul in a body. And therefore, your body has to relate to somebody else's body. So therefore, you need to meet them before you get married. A lot? Oh, we're going to talk about that at another location now.